this video, you'll learn about the basic information of fire behavior, such as how is fire behavior related to the fire environment. 2. What are the basic measures of fire behavior? 3. What are the parts of fire? 4. What are the types of fire and their associated fire behavior? 5. What are these 3 types of ground fires? 1. How is fire behavior related to the fire environment? The principle of fire environmental triangle is fuel, weather, and topography. The changing state of each element and how they interact with each other determine the behavior of fire. For example, wind speed influences how fast the fire will spread, and the amount of fuel available to burn influences of how the fire will get. Number 2. What are the basic measures of fire behavior? To understand the relationship between the fire environment and fire behavior, we first need to understand the basic concept of fire behavior. I'll introduce you the 4 basic concepts of fire behavior. First is the rate of spread, the intensity, the flame length, and the flame height. The rate of spread is basically how fast the flaming portion of the fire is moving, and the average distance over time, such as feet per minute or chains per hour. Chains is a popular and convenient unit of that used to describe distance. With 1 chain equals 66 feet, 80 chains equals 1 mile, and 10 square chains equals 1 acre. All fire elements can influence the rate of spread. For example, high wind speeds, steep slopes, and low fuel moistures can rapidly cause a fire spread. There are several ways to measure the intensity of fire. It describes the heat transfer per unit linked to the fire line, which expressed per meter or BTU feet per second. The BTU stands for British Thermal Unit, or commonly stated as BTU. Characterizing the best prescribed of wildfires is important information for firemen. It is used to prepare for expected effects and suppression planning. All legs of the fire environmental triangle can influence fire intensity. For example, low relative humidity plus heavy fuels can lead to high fire intensity. The last 2 concepts was flame length and flame height. Flame length is the distance between the flame tip and the base of the midpoint of the flame at the ground level, while flame height is the only measure of the leading edge of the front of the fire and the average maximum extension of the flame. And again, all legs of fire environmental triangle can influence flame height. For number 3, what are the parts of a fire and how do they behave? Most wildfires start from one point called origin, and they spread rapidly on the direction of the wind or uphill, generally forming the shape of an ellipse. The fire perimeter is the boundary around the fire. The fastest moving fire is called the head, and the fire spreading with the wind is called the head fire. The slow spreading fire opposite of the head is called backing or hill fire. The sides of the fire or flank will spread in the intermediate rates and burn out right angles to the wind or slope, and then it's called the flanking fire. It is important to know that the behavior of backing or flanking fire can change quickly with the wind shift. The fingers are the long extensions of the fire projecting from the main body, and the unburned areas between fingers are called pockets. The island can be found on the unburned areas inside the perimeter. And also, spot fire is a new fire ignition outside the main perimeter. Number 4. What are the types of fire and their associated fire behavior? The 3 types of fires is ground, surface, and ground. Ground fire is spread primarily by smoldering combustion through surface fuel including deep stuff, pit roots, rotten buried logs, and other organic materials. The surface fire spreads to the flaming combustion through fuel or at near the surface including needles, leaves, grass, woody debris, small plants, and shrubs. The best example of surface fire is ponderosa pine forest. The third one is crown fires. It burns through shrubs and tree crown canopies. They are the fast-spreading and release an enormous amount of heat and energy over a short period of time. Ecosystems that support crown fires include chaparral, lodgepole pine, and sprucifer forest. It is important to note that these fires generally do not occur in isolation. For example, a surface fire will often burn through surface and ground fuel, and in a crown fire, a fuel strata often burns simultaneously. Number 5. What are the three types of crown fires? There are three types of crown fires: passive, active, and independent. A passive crown fire involves burning of individual tree or small group of trees. An active crown fire are moved consistently from crown to crown and sustained to the surface fire below it. While independent crown fire spreads to the crown layer without the support of surface fire, but independent crown fire are rarely to occur. No matter the type of fire, the rate of spread, intensity, and flame height will be determined by the three legs of fire environmental triangle: the fuel, weather, and topography.